it to me like. Give 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 it to me like.
Okay.
Hi guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Sipping Tea with Suzanne. I am your fabulous host, Positively Suzanne, and I have with me in the studio the man who is normally behind the camera, Mr. Ernie Floyd himself. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here to sit here and talk with you. I'm sipping tea with you, huh?
You're sipping tea. We're going to be pouring tea in a minute.
All right,
but thank you so much for saying yes. I've wanted you on the show for a long time, so thank you for saying yes.
I've always wanted to be here. I've heard so much about it, and I run it to you time to time. You said you had a podcast, and I was like, oh yeah, you got a podcast? Oh, sure. Yeah. But now, actually, you have a podcast.
I do have a podcast and I have a show.
And you have a show.
Yes.
It's true.
I am so excited.
I'm excited
Listen,
for you.
God is intentional, so I love that. All right, so I'm just going to shout out, thank you so much to all my loyal fans, my all loyal viewers and subscribers. I appreciate you. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to the show at Positive Vibe Studio by Positively Suzanne on YouTube. Make a comment, tell your friends about it. Make sure that you're tuning in every Wednesday at 12 and at 5 for a live show. I like to highlight and spotlight phenomenal people. You know that I talk to everybody fabulous, so make sure that you're tuned in. If you are interested in being a sponsor of the show, if you're interested in being a guest or recommending a guest, please contact me at Suzanne at PositivelySuzanne.com. And let me shout out my fabulous producer extraordinaire, Mr. Paul Anderson, and my sponsor, Paul Anderson Photography. So thank you. All right. So Mr. Ernie Floyd, we're going to talk a little bit about how I met him. Yeah, so y'all going to know my age today. So welcome to the show. One of the reasons why I was so excited to have you on the show, you are media.
Thank you.
Like, you are media. Like, everybody who knows, in our community knows about, your media, Unity Radio, and you have always had, a foothold in that space. So, for you, what's that been like?
I find it interesting that people recognize me for that because of the fact that I just love media in general. And it was interesting when I graduated from College of the Holy Cross, I wanted to go into communications and I wanted to further my enthusiasm, my energy, and my aspiration to get into communications. And I didn't go to New York, I didn't go to Chicago, I didn't go to LA, or any of those prominent places when media is really known, And I said, well, where am I going to go? So Worcester was it, but Worcester wasn't really a media mecca at the time. and you had your, I call it the establishment. You had your AMTAG. I'm dating myself. You had the Telegram, and then you had the Evening Gazette, and then you had ORC at one time. And then other than that, it was later on in my career when I sold cable advertising here at Greater Media Cable, we had Channel 3. And my love and enthusiasm for communications in general just grew. And so I created a footprint selling cable advertising, and I thought it was pretty cool knowing the fact that I took a national entity, which is like MTV or USA or CNN, and I was able to sell it locally on the cable channel. So if you had a business and you were interested in advertising on CNN or Lifetime or USA, I had the capabilities of offering you that opportunity, taking those national networks and inputting those what they call inserts or those commercials in those local stations here in the city of Worcester. And then after a while, some social events took place here in the city of Worcester, and I really wanted to give back to the community in the sense where the youth movement was taking place with the Worcester Youth Center. And I realized that if you want your news out there, you want your information out there, you had to go to those mediums I mentioned, Channel 3, Evening Gazette, or the Telegram, or TAG Radio. And then after a while, I said, you know something? We always relied on them to tell our story. And I wanted to see how we can create it so that we can tell our own story. Because sometimes I always hear that when that story was being told, I always would hear some of the complaints like, I told the reporter this, they end up saying that. And so I said, well, how can we change that? And then at the time, the Worcester Youth Center was going through some challenges with the city of Worcester, and I started to open up my organization at the same time. And it was just, because of the nature of what was going on, it was like a us versus them, it was the haves versus the have-nots, and plus voters versus non-voters, you know, they had the power. I call it the establishment. And so as the Worcester Youth Center was trying to create their footprint here in the city, they weren't the traditional, I would say, YMCA, YWCA, Boys and Girls Club, and they deserved to be here. That audience, that new audiences were coming in, and they weren't getting the recognition, or they were getting the recognition, but it was getting negative recognition. And at the same time, I was developing my organization, Pride Productions at the time, and so it all began with that, and it all because for the love of communications. And I stayed the test of time, and we continued. I started out actually right up the street here from your studio initially. Then I moved to the mall. Then I moved to the Denholm building, took time off, and then eventually the opportunity for radio came on. So now we're doing radio, Unity Radio, and we're here.
All right.
And I have the good fortune to be on Positively Susan right here.
Yes. No, you know, but like you, I mean, that's a lot of years. Like you fit into a very small window. But in the meantime, you were also doing other things because you're such an advocate for the youth. And like you had a job that you were very involved. Like you were doing a lot of that. So you were doing like the media is a full-time job, but you were doing it on the side.
Right, yeah. What was interesting was it was flexible.
Yeah.
Because I was into sales.
Yeah.
And being into sales at the time, they said, here's your budget. This is what you have to hit for the month. And I just took that budget and I said, okay, how can I go and reach these clients during the day and or at night? And how can I reach that budget and still be able to do what I like to do, what I love to do, which is to share media with young people. And I started out at the Ionic Ave Boys and Girls Club. And I was able to do it. And what really supported me was, like anything else, just like I'll take you for an example. You can have your dreams and aspirations to do this type of stuff. What's really special about it is when someone else believes in your aspirations, your dreams, and your goals as well. We can dream all day long and believe in everything, but at the same time, if there's other people that believe in it with you and willing to support you and able to enhance your vision and your aspirations, that makes it extra special. Then you say, you know something? I'm not the only one that believes in this as well. There's somebody else that believes in it with me. And people will go to the end to help support you because it does something for them and it grows. That's what allows me to continue to do what I do. No,
absolutely. So I know that a lot of people, started working with you. Like Manager Media was on the show and he talked about, working with you back in the days. Like that I wasn't aware of because I was just working, going home and paying my bills. Like I had no free time, right? I wasn't paying attention to what was going on, and I've been on a couple of different shows on your your radio station, and you call it a radio station, but there's a video component to it.
Yeah, we do a Facebook Live like that.
So you do the Facebook Live. So I've been on a couple of different shows on, on Unity Radio. I think 3 different shows.
Well, you may have Black in Business.
I did Black in Business.
Unity in the Community. And you may have Thick Trick Comedy. You may have Sue Roulette. She does her
The
show.
Suzanne show, I've been on that.
Right, and Now I Thrive.
With Margie and Armina, I've been on that.
And then you also have the Kiva Center does a show on mental health, talking wellness. You haven't been on that one yet.
I have not.
So whenever you feel like your mental health is breaking down, come and talk to us about that.
Okay,
right?
all right, I will do that. But why is it so important, though, that you give, because it's such a diverse group, right? Why is it so important that you give a voice to the community?
That's a really good question. Why it's important? You know something? When I was growing up, like way back in the day, well, not that far back. we'll pull it back.
Really back in. Okay, all right, right there. Okay, right there. Okay, go on.
And I can recall growing up back in Roxbury that when people would come up to me and say, I believe you can be this. I believe you can do that. I could believe you can do all these different other things before I believe I could do anything. And so it started with my mom. It started with the people in the community and the leaders and the people I associated with. It just seemed as though I was in a company of people who always put me in a position that I could succeed in. And that was my lifestyle growing up. My mom would always take the opportunity. It kind of worked mutually. She would take me down to the camp area down in Boston, drop me off there. I had my duffel bag, get on the bus, and I would travel to New Hampshire for summers at a time. And then I would be in South Athol. I'll talk about that at another camp, summers at a time. So I was always out of the city. And then when I was back in the city, other people would see me, because I was growing taller at that time, especially in high school. They saw me as someone who took the opportunity and said, okay, we want you on our basketball team. And the gentleman that took me, I always be deeply dedicated to him. His name is Terry Walker, and still a good friend of mine today. And he was the manager for Bell Biv DeVoe and the New Addition, tour manager, and Michael Bivens in particular. And so I knew all those guys, but he was a big star basketball player. So he put me in the arena and took me over and just said, okay, we went to high school together. You're going to play with us. And trust me, the leagues and the talent at that time was way over my capabilities, right? But the fact that he took me in and trusted me, and then you would want to perform, you want to be better when you're playing with people that are more skilled than you are. And so it just trickled through my whole life, the whole entire time. And so then I found that it carried over to my opportunity to come to Worcester. I didn't even know Worcester existed because I was in Roxbury. But then it came to a part in my life where it's, okay, who's going to pay for college? How are we going to get to college? What college is going to be best for you? And I was fortunate enough to play basketball as a leisure. Now, in the beginning, I wasn't very good. Then later on, I picked it up, I would say my sophomore and junior year. I would say 7th or 8th grade, I was nothing. I picked it up later on. I happened to grow a few more inches, and before you know it, I hung around the right people and started getting recognized. And then I wanted to be as good, if not better, than the competition. And it afforded me 250 schools to recruit me. So I could go to any college from the east to the Midwest to the West, even to as far as Hawaii. So all these doors kept opening up for me. And so the main thread of it was the fact that someone said, you can be something. You can do this. I could see you doing that. And I think the difference between someone telling you that you can become those things is trusting it and going out and doing it. And I did. And I found myself always having success, which afforded me a free education to come up here. And I continued on. So now I know what it is to be successful. I know what it is when you encourage somebody, what it can mean to that particular person. And so I found myself in a company of people here in the city of Worcester, young people, who were going through struggles and trials and tribulations and stuff. So I said, well, it was given to me. Maybe I can make a difference in your life. And they trusted me, and I have some very successful people today who look back and say, thanks to you, and thanks to that, and thanks to this, you made a difference in my life. And so that's what continues to keep me going. So, and I always remind myself every day when I get up, it's not about me. As long as I remind myself, it's not about me, and I read Psalms 27 every day, and I get up, and I love my family, I love my friends, and I love what I do, and I go, I don't take myself seriously, you know, and this is who I am, and this is why I do what I do.
All right. No, that's wonderful. You said something key there. When people are like see something in
I
you.
can try this?
You can absolutely go ahead and try it.
Now, is
Yeah.
there a certain way you're supposed to do it? My pinky supposed to
You
go
got to
out?
lift the pinky. So you got to hold it like this.
All right.
And like, let's lift the pinky.
All right.
And
Okay,
let's
this.
do it. Do you take sugar or milk?
Sure.
I have brown sugar if you want.
All right, let's
That's why
do
you have a
that.
gold
Let's do that.
spoon.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
So you ever heard of a born with a silver spoon in your mouth? You have a gold spoon, my friend.
All right, thank you. I got a gold spoon.
You got a
need
gold
that? I got a gold spoon. I heard of the silver spoon.
Yeah, no, honey, we gold. We golden.
Okay,
like
okay.
we're golden.
All right,
So yeah.
I can't believe this.
You wanna hold the.
Now, how do I'm supposed to
Just stir it in, yeah,
Stir
just stir it in, yeah, yeah.
This pinky goes up when I stir it?
No, you don't have
Okay.
to. You can keep the
this
pinky down.
I
You
don't have
can
to work
keep
this
it-
hand.
You don't have to work that hand. That's fine. That's fine. Yep. So you can put that down. So you want to lift that up, and then you want to lift the pinky.
Okay, hold
And
it. Okay.
yes, lift the pinky, and then you want to take a sip like that. And that's it.
No, I'm just kidding. That's great. Thank you.
And that's how you sip tea
Thank
with
you. I
Suzanne.
appreciate that. All
Yes.
Well, you're going to find two sides to me. I tell people when I work with young people, you're going to find the silly side and the serious side. So
Okay.
You're going to get a little bit of everything.
Yeah. No. And I know it
No
all.
one's passed out on the tea with you. No one's passed out from the tea.
No one, because the tea is just tea.
Okay.
Let's get it right. It's just
Okay,
tea. It's like there is nothing there. Like that's it. It's just tea.
You're legal. It's legal.
It's legal.
Okay.
It's just tea. But no. What I was saying was, one of the things that you said is so key, and I love that you said that. When somebody sees something in you and calls it out in you, because sometimes you don't see it. It's something that could be a dream, could be something buried, and say, hey, I see this for you, or I see that for you, and but until you actually believe it and go out there and go after it, that's when it comes to fruition. But I think it's great when somebody that even somebody that you admire, recognize something in you and calls that out. So I think it's so important that we do that for our youth. When when we see them, let them know like there's a different path. Like they're so creative, like what they're doing with TikToks and videos and all of that. Call things out. Like I was like, how long is TikTok gonna last? I don't know. But their creativity, like how can you get them to hone into that, to tap into that, like, and to get into videography or engineering and all of those things? Because I think all those spaces in the brains are all connected. So I think that is so key and so important that we continue to do that for our youth.
And let's go back to what you said with Manny J. Media. When Manny joined me, what was interesting about the station, about Unity Radio, is when a number of people came to the station, they wanted the medium to do something for them personally and professionally. In Manny's particular case, he came in, he got escorted into a mutual friend of his in saying that, okay, he wanted to pursue technology and communications and didn't know how to go about it per se. So it was almost in a sense where, as I said, and I needed the help at the time. We were just transitioning from some other different hosts and guests from the show that we were doing at Unity Radio. And he had the knack, he has the technology to do a lot of different things that we weren't at the time able to do, but was needed. So as we grew, he grew, and back and forth, and it worked for both of us.
That's wonderful.
And so then it got to the point whereas when people were coming to the show, and the show was almost like, the station was almost like changing people's lives, because I started hearing stories like, I love coming here, and it changed my life because of the nature of the show. And the show attracted a certain amount of guests and a certain type of guests.
Yeah.
As they were able to have their discussions. And you can listen in, and you can really get a lot of information on some of these people that they're listening, that you would have to go out to the community and try to search for. And by listening to those stories, you say, oh, I was interested in something. Good thing I caught this show. I don't have to go out and get it, because by listening to these people talk, I can get my resource and information right here. So technically, right at the time too, he was able to put us, we were just audio at the time, just the station, and we were at 102.9 at FM at the time, and we were able to increase our power, so our engineer recognized that, so he put us at 97.9 where we are right now. And he was able to grow with us, he was able to add the Facebook Live with us, and really take us to the next level. And so we had him, as well as now, other youth come in, Dynamy comes in and interns, and other people come in. So I just use it as a vehicle, and people say, oh, you're the owner. I said, no. I corrected him right away. I'm not an owner. It's a nonprofit entity. It's almost like saying if I work at the Y or the Boys Club, like I own it. But no, whoever is the CEO there, they don't own the Boys Club. You know, it's owned by the community. It's a nonprofit charity entity. So I used the vehicle, as we're using this vehicle, to allow people to talk and speak and express themselves. And that was the whole beginning of that. So now we have a number of other people, like we just had Isaiah Tucker on, CEO of IVOC, and a Voice Out of Change. And I see all these people branching out, and I see like Kid Cash too, who's the DJ who joined us as well. And I see everybody just doing their thing. And what's beautiful about what we're doing is I'll promote you, you promote me, I'll promote Manny, I respect him, I'll promote Kid Cash or Isaiah Tucker and the rest of the group. It's not like, don't slight anybody. And even if you have differences with them, I will still promote you. If you have a difference with me, I will still promote you and say, because we need this forum, because we need more people of ourselves talking about what we're talking about and getting ourselves out there, because Worcester has grown to that point, whereas we all need each other.
No, we absolutely do. I mean, Manny's very talented. He's been on the show, I think once, and I've been on his show a couple of times. But I think it's so important that, you know, like, you spotlighted me, you spotlight all the others. Isaiah's been on the show also. I like this medium, though, because it's not traditional media. And one of the things, the opportunity that arises from, you know, folks doing shows like yours or mine or Manny, they don't have to be, you know, the person that's up there, right? You can see regular folks that look like me and you. And I think because a lot of times folks who's like, you know, we have the people that are on our show. We have the city managers, the senators, and all of that. But we have regular people in the community that are coming on our shows that, you know, people, little boys and girls are looking at, and they could see themselves in that. And I think you're right. It's a big playing field. And I think we can't try to push anybody out. I think the more people that are in there, I think the better it will get, because then we'll be recognized as a force to be reckoned with. And I think we become a trusted source where the community looks to Unity Radio, they look to Manager Media, they look to, you know, Positive Vibe Studio or any of those other entities. And I'm sorry if I'm missing some of you all. You know,
Well, you got the Village, you got
like,
the number, everybody doing something.
You know, somebody's doing something, but, you know, to go there and, you know, promote them, because, again, not everybody is going to put, you know, just a regular person, you know, on their program. I mean, that's gonna, you know, the big names in Worcester, you know, the smaller businesses don't get recognized. They don't get shouted out. Like, they need that.
Right. And that's funny you should say that. And I'm going to be honest and frank with you.
Be honest and frank.
And I'm going to put this out there. Whereas when we first started the station, I was fortunate and privileged enough to have a major personality come in who came in, we'll call it from the major establishment, okay?
Yeah.
And at the time when we were starting the station, I was fortunate enough to have the station, but we didn't have content. So we would have this gentleman come in. They said, we'll take over the station, we'll provide the content. And so at that time we had, we'll call it, we had Hank Stoltz, you know, that come in. And then we had Gary Rosen and Tony Economo. They came in, former city councilors as well. And then we had the mayor would come in once a week. And then we had the city manager would come in once a week. And then we had the Chamber of Commerce would come in. And that was all due to Hank, because that was his association with that audience. But then what would happen was I would have the book of this nature would be Unity Radio. But the content was always just talking about economics and downtown, and it got heavily dominated about what the Woosocks coming into town. And so we were struggling as an identity, whereas Unity Radio was for the community, was for the people. But then our content was basically geared toward, we'll say, middle and upper income. And so we were clashing a little bit. And I felt it. And I know I could recall, I want to tell you the story because it's true. Whereas when we started to try to figure out what our image was going to be and we're trying to shape the station, I can recall going to the College of Holy Cross looking for the interns, right?
Yeah.
And we just created this video, and the video was really sharp, right? And the nature of the station and the content of people who were representing the station at the time. And I went up to Holy Cross, and we're looking at interns, and we had a couple that were interested in the station, and I'm showing them the video. Boom, right? I'm like, hey, what do you think? You know? And they looked at it and they go, and they said to me, they go, Unity Radio, huh? I said, yeah. They go, They go, yeah, Unity Radio, but he says, why you got these old white people on your video? You're talking about Unity Radio. And these are white students staying in. And talk about a punch in the gut.
Wow.
Which I already knew.
Yeah.
But for a white student at the College of the Holy
point it
Cross
out.
to tell me that Unity Radio, operated by the person of color, or black, whatever term you want to use, telling me that, why you got those old white guys on, I guess, Unity Radio. And I said, I got to turn this around really fast. And that was about the time Manny kind of came in, and then things just naturally, organically started to change. And the reason why I'm telling you this story, it goes back to what you said earlier. When I started putting on regular, organic people in the community, our attention grew like crazy.
Absolutely.
But it was a privilege, I wouldn't say privilege, we had the good fortune of the city administration and other economically important people as well. It's nice to have the city manager. It's nice to have the mayor and all this sort of stuff. And it's kind of like prestige in a sense, and kind of like, okay, you got some people there that you have to know about the city too, because you live in the city.
You do.
But when you start talking about the organic, talking about the grassroots people, the station went boom like that.
Yeah.
And I found it interesting that the community grew and the station grew as the community grew, and that's why we do what we do. And so we went through a lot of ebb and flow, and we transitioned a lot. But I still love doing the organic, real stories of the real people here in the community.
Absolutely.
And that's key, and that's why you do what you do, and that's why I do what I do.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's great. I mean, Eric Batista, fantastic. Robin Kennedy, fantastic. I've had them on my show, and I will forever invite them on my show because, I enjoy having them, and I think that, in the community, it's great that they show up when you ask, and, they interview and they give it to the people. But, I had my most recent gentleman, he was... Fat Boy Chef. He's like Fat Boy Chef. But I'm trying to remember his name. And Timothy Broomfield from Big Belly Barbecue. It's such an amazing response because we love our food. So that's a community. I had Isaiah Tucker, and it was somewhere, and somebody mentioned Isaiah Tucker, and I'm like, oh yeah, he was just on my show, and they're like, oh really? I had to watch that, and so right then I got a subscriber and things like that. So it's it's the community. I think it's great that we include folks that are in spaces in the community that typically we're not in. So we want that. We want that voice. But we also want our grassroots people, like, the entrepreneurs, the person who started their barbecue in their backyard,
Yes, of course.
all these little people, that's what makes us us. Because again, if we just become one of those news stations, Channel 5 and Channel 7, they focus on all the people who they deem successful, right?
Of course.
So we need to focus on the successful, but also the people that I want to hear about. I want to hear the story of how he got started. I want to hear the story about the new restaurants. I want to hear the story, the success of somebody that I went to school with, doing well, like Isaiah Tucker. He was on, great gentleman, Ron Waddell. I had Dr. Sherry Ann on the show the other day. I have so many. I just love listening to them in their story. And I think that the audience resonates with that because you know what they're seeing? They're seeing themselves.
Right. Well, that's very, very important that you should say that, because we want to do stories about those unsung heroes, if you will. I would say once again, back in the day. I'm old school. I like to say that, but back in the day. But that prestige and that honor and that hierarchy, when you say the mayor and you say the city manager, and that all resonated here in the community at the time. But that's all transitioned to change because of the fact that I want to work with people, highlight people who are here 365 days out of the week, out of the year, no matter what happens.
No, absolutely.
Now they come in, we'll say, the chamber and the city manager and the mayor and city council and all the different dignitaries. They go and they do the development where they make the community announcement. They put the shovel in the ground, they kick the dirt, and everybody claps, and you cut the ribbon and stuff like that, right? But you know something? When that all goes away, there's still people here in this community that are still trying to put food on the table, still trying to keep a roof over their head, or you hear these celebrities who may adopt kids and so forth and so on, and all of a sudden it's like they're famous for adopting their kid. But we have regular people that do these things every day and don't get recognized. And those are the people I want to talk to, and those are the people obviously you want to talk to, and those we want to recognize. And I think that audience now resonates more with us now than before because of the fact those unsung heroes we want to tell their story because they're amongst us as almost like the majority now.
No,
We're
absolutely.
not the minority.
No, not at all. Honestly, traditional media, I don't even pay attention to it much anymore because I think, depending on who owns the media station too, I think the news is scored to a certain extent. And that's why I like, what Manny does, what I do, what you guys do. It's live, so what you get is what you get.
What you see is what you get.
What you get is what you get, right?
Right, sure.
So talking about going way back, I met you when I was 16 years old.
So that's what it was. So, okay, so I'm gonna tell the story then. So
All right, tell the story.
I'm
tell the
riding
story.
around.
Yeah.
And I go down Chandler Street, right? And I'm looking for a place to have my. Oh, I'm gonna try this.
Sip your tea. Come on, sip your tea.
all right,
Let's
so-
sip. Take a sip. Yeah. All right, go on.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I usually go, but I have to sip. And
Yes.
So I'm riding around and I'm looking for a new place to get my clothes clean.
Yes.
Right? I walk into this building and I meet you for the first time. And if you know me, in some instances, people say that I come in and I'm a
You're a
little silly.
talker.
I'm tall. Yeah, I'm a talker, and they recognize how tall I am, and they go through that whole thing. And I'm giving you the business too.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize your sister. I didn't realize your sister was there too as well
Yeah.
at the time. I didn't know there was a relationship. And I started frequenting it after a while. And then I really drew a liking to you because of the fact that at the time, I just like relating and having conversation. It's like you and I are having a conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in picking you up and all that sort of stuff. Just having a general organic conversation and looking forward to coming to see you there.
Yeah.
And so then after a while, unfortunately, then the sign went up saying that you guys were going to close. Mm-hmm. But then I would see you out in the community, and I met you at certain at different churches and stuff, at different church events, and I met your husband, your family, your kids, and I would see you periodically. And a number of times we said we're going to get together, we're going to talk and do all these different things.
Yeah.
And I saw you recently again several weeks ago, same thing. And here we are here. So I wanted to ask you, okay, when that started, when I very first met you, I didn't know you from it. Then I met your brother too.
Yes.
Right? And I was always asked how he's doing.
Yeah.
And I seen him grow too, and I seen you grow, and I
Yeah.
seen his sister grow too. I see the whole family grow.
Over 30 years, but go on.
Right. So,
Oh,
shouldn't ask
I
you that
mean,
number?
3. It's a long time.
I didn't realize that how long time has passed since then.
Yeah.
And I would see you periodically, and then I've watched you grow naturally recently.
Yeah.
That I realized you shared with me that you're into the mortgage business and you have your own company, and then you started the podcast, and now you're doing this as well.
Yeah.
And so I've seen you in the beginning from where you were in the beginning and where you are today.
Yeah.
And I had the good fortune to follow you
Yeah.
during that time. And we shouldn't bring up how long that's been.
We will not. So scratch that, delete that. You don't know how long we've known each other.
Way back. Bring it back in again. All right, bring it.
Yeah, right here. Right here. We met him a few years ago.
Okay.
Yes.
And what's interesting too is when I meet people, such as the similar nature of how I met you, is I've met different people, different family members, not realizing that
Their
the
family.
husband was the wife, and I knew the wife, but I didn't know they were husband and wife.
Yeah.
I knew their children. I didn't know they were brother and sister
Yeah.
and cousin like that. And good thing I didn't talk bad about anybody.
Ah.
Because I've always come in contact with
Yeah.
somebody. I said, "That's your brother? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
How do you not know that?"
Yeah.
Well, I knew you for years. I knew you for years. How do I know that you're a brother and sister and husband and wife? So,
Yeah.
and that's how it is in this community. So I try not to say anything bad about
Everybody
anybody.
knows everybody.
I know.
That's the thing. Well, that's a motto I practice too, because it's like, or texting. Like I don't text bad things because I always accidentally text the wrong person. Like, so because if you notice, I sent you a text
Oh, you did.
and it said like your name and your position, but I was sending it to him. But because in my mind I was putting your name, I texted it to you.
Right.
See?
Which is safe.
But so I'm always respectful in my texts
Sure.
because my nature. But no, for real though, like we met when I was 16. And no, you were very respectful. You didn't put any words to me or anything like that. Like I don't even know what we talked about. I mean,
We
I
were just joking and
like
laughing
just
about
talk
something. Just
about
talk about
random
stuff,
stuff.
yeah.
And I'm a talker, you're a talker, and it was good. And like just each time you came in, we would just talk about like everything under the sun, because at that time in the cleaner, like it was my sister and I were the only people of
Yeah,
color,
right.
that were there. I think there was a gentleman in the back there.
He'll pop out once in a while and go in the back. Didn't want no part of the discussion.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the very few moments that we had the discussion. It was just refreshing at the time, you know.
Yeah.
And it also made a difference in my day. at the
Yeah,
time,
no,
you know?
well, thank you. And I appreciated, a gentleman coming up to me and speaking to me without asking for my number.
right.
So, because like at the cleaners, it was
Right.
challenging,
Oh, yeah,
like a lot, because I was like, yeah, no, we can't date our customers.
Of course,
that was not a rule,
Right.
but like
I
it's,
understand.
I
Well,
got
you guys
used
were
to
dressed.
saying
I
that.
have to admit, you
I
guys
did
dressed.
dress
You,
up.
you guys had a style.
We
You
did
and your
dress
sister
up.
Had right, you guys dressed appropriately, the style, and
We
you
had to
guys were
dress up.
attractive at the time. And I could see how and why someone would ask.
Yeah, so
But for the record, I didn't ask.
he did not. He was
Okay.
very respectful.
That calls for a sip.
All right, listen. No.
Ooh.
He was very respectful.
Thank
It
you.
was nice to have conversations, like, and not worry about, like, oh my God, like this fool.
When he comes back in, I have to.
Like,
Yeah.
because there was a couple of people, like my sister and I were like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, you today. Like,
Oh, yeah.
because it was
You
just.
guys kind of looked alike. You guys kind of could pass for twins.
Yeah,
you know,
we
almost
could have, but yeah, and you didn't know, but okay.
or unless you guys ask yourself, how can you never ask us for our number? And everybody else is.
No, I didn't.
Good.
Like, I didn't expect people to ask me for a number because I was just like, I'd rather just have a conversation.
That's all I wanted,
Plus I was
conversation.
16. I wasn't ready to date.
Right,
So I,
The
so.
interest wasn't there. No disrespect. It's just the interest was there was just to have the conversation.
Yeah, no,
basically.
it was good.
And
It
I
was
love
good
having a
conversation. And it was, it continued. And every time we saw each other, we chatted. I moved away. I came back.
Right,
We lost touch. We got connected again at the churches. And I don't know why I'm like at the churches.
At the spirit thing.
Like,
Woo!
yeah.
Okay.
And then we hadn't seen each other for a while. And then, right when I had left
Right.
my career, which I was in for so long, we ran into each other at a coffee shop and
Right.
we started chatting. And I told you what I was doing. And at the
I was so
time,
excited for you. Yeah.
yeah, I was doing the podcast and I was thinking of the show. And then the show, God is so good and he's so intentional. He kind of knew what was in my heart. And But, like you said, I think people seeing something in you. Because I remember meeting Marcella, the owner for Life Garden Cafe, and I went in to meet her. I was trying, because I do tea parties, and I was trying to host a tea party, and I went in to meet her, and I couldn't do it there because folks wanted mimosas, and you couldn't serve wine there because it's in a church and they don't have a liquor license, right? And it didn't happen. And I remember, I don't know, I was there for lunch or something, and I was just telling her about the show, and she just said to me, "Why don't you use my space?"
Wow.
Like, out of the blue, like just. And I had just met her, but we just formed a connection, and I did the first season of the show.
You were speaking out loud.
Yeah,
you know? And it goes back to what I said 30 minutes ago. Was the fact that if you just put it out there and just share your dreams and your aspirations, even if it's in conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I've been thinking about this and thinking about that, and all of a sudden you're like, I might have an answer for you. You just never know who you're talking to, and they might have an answer for you.
Absolutely.
And that person speaks out and says, "Hey, I have something for you." Right?
And she did. And I was so grateful for the first season. And, this year we were blessed to have our own space. But
This is beautiful. This is
no,
nice.
I
I
am
like
so
it here.
excited by it. But like you said,
There's nothing like it around, by the way.
No.
You're unique.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Honestly.
like talking to people. And, I always say, people's like, "Oh, I've never done a show before." And I'm like, it's just a conversation.
It's a conversation.
I just want to find out about you, how you got your start, to inspire others, to motivate others, to empower others, things like that. So I know what's going on right now.
Okay.
Like you have a couple of shows on the program and on Unity Radio and things like that. But can you share what's next for Ernie Floyd Media?
I would say what's next is to really, there's a couple of things actually. I'm glad you asked.
Yes.
One of the things is we're bringing back Youth Unity. Youth Unity was our flagship program with Pride Productions, which is the parent organization of Unity Radio. And that was my forte at the time when I started the Ionic Cat Boys and Girls Club. And that was, I can tell you, we incorporated in 1994. And several years later, because of the fact, going back to what I said earlier with the Worcester Youth Center, we were just trying to position ourselves. I was trying to position myself to try to contribute to youth in my way, and they were trying to contribute to youth in their way, and everybody was. The traditional after-school organizations were too as well. And as we were doing that, I was doing something that wasn't being done at the time, okay, by allowing youth to be in front of the camera, by allowing youth to be able to tell their own story. And we did it very well. And I ran it for and I had the good fortune of working at Greater Media Cable because I was selling cable advertising at the time. And so the original, what they call it, the original channel was Channel 3, which reached not only Worcester, but the 22 surrounding towns, excuse me. So when we started airing Youth Unity on the channel, then everyone got a chance to see the youth in a different light, not versus what was being said in the paper of the Worcester Youth Center being raided, or this youth did this, or a gang member did that, whatever the case may be. You get to actually physically see youth be articulate. And we went from here to Atlanta, to the MLK Center, to Boston, to New York or something. We went everywhere just to allow people to tell their story that reflected what youth thoughts were. And so now, I took some time off of that. Now we brought it back. So we're practicing that.
Wonderful.
But also going back to what you said about electronics and youth. Well, the group right now is a little bit more versed on technology than my original group.
Yeah.
Not to say that my original group was not tech savvy per se, but now because young people have grown up with technology, so now they can edit, they can mix their own audio, they can do their own graphics, and they're not afraid to be in front of the camera. And it seems as though they're a little bit more versed than the original group, because the original group, it was like new to them, was foreign to them.
It was,
because technology wasn't as
It wasn't. The
as
internet
it
was
back
new.
then, and was exactly at the time as it is right now. So we're looking to expand that, and then I'm looking to support K Fingers, which is Keith Chester. He has a band.
Oh, okay. I know. Years ago, I used to watch him perform at the Bob Marley event put on by the Village. Yeah.
So we're looking to support him. We've done a couple of shows of that nature coming up. And then, but my heart is really with the station, to expand the station. And we're looking to add sports right now, so we're getting calls for that. And while we're doing that, we're looking to recruit young people to not only teach them technology, but also to be a part of the production team, so that they could be aligned with our sports department as well. So we're looking to add sports in. And what's interesting about this community is the market's wide open in reference to media. We don't have a major ABC, NBC, CBS, we'll say, here figuratively in this town. We're spread from Boston into this market, but we don't have a foundation of a station.
Yeah.
So the market's wide open, and we want something that's going to focus on the people here in Worcester too as well. And so that's what we're trying to do, is trying to highlight our young people, trying to highlight the families and also the organizations that are here in the city of Worcester through Unity Radio, and that's why we call it Worcester's Community Connection.
Oh, I think that's incredible because, you know, when you watch the news, you are seeing information about families in Boston, you know, Dorchester, Roxbury, Rosendale, all these places.
Which I love,
but again,
I'm from there.
Which is fantastic.
Right.
But again, think about what a difference it would mean to see people from Worcester on, you know, on the news. I mean, there is because, you know, that young lady, the Ayo, that just won like the award. She's from Dorchester. She won an Emmy and a Golden Globe, and like just
people from that area that won Grammys. Like you said,
exactly,
awards, right?
you know. But something in our community that is spotlighting and highlighting, you know, people that we know, that we grew up with. I don't know about you, like we're from Jamaica, like we're cheering for you, like yes.
Yeah, we want to succeed.
We want to see Worcester, you know, on the news. But that's awesome. But you have a really nice space there. So what are some of the things that you guys are able to do there?
What we're looking to do there, basically, what we have been doing is we have a little recording studio.
Yes.
We have an audio-visual station, an audio station with the recording, and we also have a podcast station. And then we have a little location where the band practices with K Fingers, and also we have another band called Focus that practices back there. And when we bring people in the back around the corner from the main studio, when they see the space stretching from here to the other end of the building, and they see all this technology and tables and computers and desktops and monitors and audio equipment and stuff like that. And we share the space with a couple other people. We also have a K-Pasa radio there, which is Rodrigo Alvarado. And we have Spanish programming.
Oh, okay.
We missed not to mention Spanish programming goes from 6 a.m. on Saturdays up to 1 p.m. And we also promote Spanish promotions during the week, all in Spanish, and we all they're all in English. Like that. And some people say, well, why playing Spanish? I'm like, well, because there's a Spanish community. They may not understand. I said, no, they understand. This is the Spanish community, and we want to do.
Yeah.
We balance with the English community as well, and we have religious programming on Sunday as well to balance it out. And then in the evenings we have straight music from 7 p.m. on to 6 a.m. the next day. So it's not, so our slogan in the evening, well, our slogan for the station when we have that program, we have talk 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. So music in various different genres. So it's like talk on the day and listen at night.
And listen at night. Well, yeah, because you don't want to talk at night, right? You
But
just
no, you
listen.
heard all the stuff, and you heard all,
Yeah.
like you said about America and the country and in the cities, and you heard
Yeah.
everybody talk it all out in politics and everything else. By the time the evening
You
comes,
want to unwind.
I just want to unwind, and if there's a particular genre Unity Radio is playing, it could be rap, it could be R&B, it could be soul, it could be classics, it could be Spanish, it could be whatever. Oh, this is different, and people sit there and they listen to it because they contact us all the time to say, I've heard about that show, I like what that show, who's on that show? I like to get in contact with them. They're saying something that's important to me, and I like to reach out to them. I'd be remiss to also, we have a cannabis show too.
Okay.
Called Cannabis of Worcester.
Okay.
And the show's called Cannabis 101.
Okay.
And we created that show so that people be educated about the cannabis community. So it's not the traditional or the stereotypical, you're smoking and acting silly and going back and forth. No, it's not like that. It's an educational program between two General Gary and Steve from Cannabis of Worcester. They do a really good job. They invite some of their vendors in, and they talk about the aspects of cannabis.
Okay.
It's a little bit more acceptable to talk about it right now. It was a shock a couple of years ago when we first started it.
Yeah.
And so now it's kind of like accepted because it's been around. The shock is over.
Yeah.
It's legal. And
Yeah.
if you use it, people find good use for it. And if,
Okay.
and then if you don't, and you still have your others or brothers about it, that's okay too. But it's not highly talked about anymore, unless you're in the business aspect of it. Some are making money, and some aren't, and that's another challenge in itself. So we have a wide variety. I'm really proud of the station to invite yourself, invite anybody that's interested in coming on the station. They have something to talk about. We have a variety of different programs to allow those for those thoughts and those discussions to take place.
Okay, that's wonderful. Yeah, no, I mean the community. So how does the community connect with the station if they want to be on one of the shows and to just take a look at all the vast array of things that you guys offer?
Oh yeah, we shortened the letters down. That was WUTY.org. That's it. You go to the site and you'll see a number of different platforms on there, a number of different programming on there as well. And we're adding shows all the time. If you're interested in doing a show, that's great. No, what'd be nice is that we have a variety, even though we have a wide variety of people that are on there, I like to have someone, a person of color, female in particular. Maybe you want to have your show on there. If you happen to see somebody or know somebody.
What a pretty picture over there.
Oh, that picture? Okay. If you happen to know somebody, I don't know if you know anybody.
Okay.
We're looking low. Person of color, female.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you happen to know anybody. We would love to have your
I'll
program
check my
on
black
there.
book.
Can you check?
I can check.
Okay.
I think you and I have talked and hinted around a couple of things. We'll sit down off camera.
Okay, all right. We would love to have you on there.
Yeah.
You got some good stuff on there.
Yes.
And,
no, you do.
Yeah, and we can play it in the early evening or
Yeah.
late evening.
Okay.
Have like nice little relaxing music behind, like spa music behind it, something like that.
Reggae.
You
Well,
know?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, okay.
I know, I'm joking. Yeah, we won't be dancing.
Unlicensed music, of course.
Oh.
Or music of original artists here.
Yeah.
There's some
Okay.
there's some artists here.
There is. Okay.
We can't hold that out, and maybe we might add amateur night or something. Not amateur night, but listen to some artists that have some nice music. They want to play it on the radio too. We're looking for that too.
All right.
And it doesn't have to be me to host it. It could be you or anybody who can host it. Who's on who has the ear for local artists. They want to promote, put this stuff out there. Let's play it on the air. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
You know?
Well, you lead me right into my next question because you are doing something with the youth and music. And last year you had an event. Are you planning on doing it this year?
Let's see. I would say we are doing that this year. And what was interesting was.
Well, let's talk. What was the event first?
Okay. Well, the event was the Unite Through Music. And we had several students from Worcester Public Schools. Burncoat, I would say in particular, and Burncoat, Worcester Tech, and Doherty, And those young ladies and people that performed in the show, a purpose of the show was to show off their talent and also have a message of unity amongst our young people.
Yeah.
And so we created a band, and in that band we had Dr. Charles Steinberg from the Paw Sox. He played the guitar, and we invited him to come in. And we also invited, as I said, a number of students. And we also had a young lady who went to Worcester Tech. She killed it. She sang at the Obama administration at the time. Please forgive me. I think her name was Lisa. We had Little Rennie. I know that. She participated with us as well. And the whole thing is about being united, being a community, and also through the eyes of young people expressing themselves. And unfortunately, we lost some young people along the way at that time. So we wanted to do something to let them know that they're not forgotten. The community's not forgotten, and let people know that our community is in good hands with the young people that were able to perform that. We invited Crocodile River to come in and perform, and then we invited, of course, our group was there, and Little Rennie performed, and we had a good time. And at the time, that was it was a new opportunity to meet the superintendent of schools. We recognized her. We also recognized Raquel Castro, Corzini. She just came from a serious accident at the time, and so we recognized her. And we want to recognize, it's nice to recognize our community people, our city officials, in combination with the community. Because we all play a role in the lifeblood of here in the city of Worcester. But recently, Karosha, who's out of Lancaster, who was our choir director, Sadelka, and she just recently did a show, Black History Month, out in Lancaster. So she used the same group, and they performed out there as well. So we kind of did it, but we kind of did it out in Lancaster.
Okay.
In a sense, like that. But I like to do it again. And it was just the timing and getting everybody together. And so thank you for asking for that, too, as well. It was a really special show. We had a good turnout. I didn't know what to expect. And the reason why I did it, because, once again, my influence was Black Nativity, which was Alma Lewis School organization out of Boston. And I sang in the show, Black Nativity, performed on the drums, and I was a wise man. And I had the good fortune to bring a Black Nativity to Worcester, and they performed at the Mechanics Hall. And I did something silly, which everybody knows I'm capable of doing. And so no one knew, but at the very end of the show, there's a part where the wise man comes in and brings the presents to Jesus.
To baby Jesus, yeah.
Christ is born. Well, I excused myself from the audience, and I went in the back, and I put on the king's outfit.
Okay.
And it's this glittering, I was like Liberace, like a black Liberace, right? I had this huge, popcorn hat, had this glistening robe on, and the train ran for like 2 feet, and I had this huge gawky box like I'm bringing jewelry to the king, right? I was a wise man. And I'm going down the aisle, all you heard was Floyd. They didn't realize that I was associated with the play.
Oh.
So I jumped into the play. My family didn't know until they saw me up on stage.
Okay.
And then when my part was done, I went back and I changed. They realized that, okay, we knew you was up to something because you didn't come back immediately. And they know how much I love the show.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up with. I performed in that show at least for 8 years during my childhood.
Yeah.
And I had the good fortune to arrange to come to Worcester, and I want Worcester to get a little feel of it. I did a lot of things before I came to Worcester.
Yeah, okay.
Which a lot of
so
people
you had a whole lot of life.
Oh, I had a whole.
I only know Worcester Ernie. I don't know Roxbury Ernie.
79. That's a good point. 79, 80 up. Everybody knows that. But prior to that, there's a lot of stuff I did.
Okay.
Before I arrived there.
Okay.
So that's one of the ways for me to sneak back into my childhood experience was to be involved in the play.
But you've always been but no matter what you do though, it's connected to youth, it's connected to music, the arts, something like that. So that is, would you say that's your passion, or?
Yeah, that definitely is my passion, and that's like when I was going back to Isaiah, we were talking on the show recently. Yeah. Whereas music seems to be this common denominator that brings us all together because it's very expressive. You can be yourself. Yeah. And at the same time, you can connect with someone, and you can bring some type of commonality together. And regardless of whatever the genre is, that, it just makes you feel good. It makes you just be able to be expressive, and you want to feel good, especially during these days. Yeah. And during these times, you got to find something. It's an outlet.
It is.
Allow you to express yourself, And so, thank you for saying about the youth, because one of the things we want to do. This is a special thing I want to do with Angelo, the young man who's been singing the national anthem recently, and Little Rennie, and bringing back that youth group that you mentioned, Unite Through Music. So there's a special project I want to do with them and put them up on stage. So there's a couple of things that'll be coming up. So thank you for saying that. I didn't want to let the cat out of the bag. What did I say? So since you forced it out of me, yeah.
Nobody heard. Nobody heard.
No,
You know, and I must give shout out to Little Rennie because she is Serenity Jackson,
Hey, of course.
who is the poet laureate, the new poet laureate.
yes.
Yes.
Imagine that.
That is amazing.
It is amazing.
Like that is so. It's so good to like you see that. Like that's we want to see like our own community, out there, and I think representation is so important when you see people that look like you
Right.
represented in spaces.
Well, Boston's not, like you said, Boston's not going to do that, come up here, unless there's, people always joke saying, unless there's a fire,
Yeah.
unfortunately, unless there's a death, they'll be up here, they'll be downtown,
Yeah.
Broadcasting live,
Yeah.
satelliting it back to the station, but something like a Little Rennie, or something like our young people in music, or even our, or the village, or
Yeah.
people in general here in the city of Worcester, all the different good things that we're doing. If few and far between, something that's going to be said, unless now, because of social media, everyone's posting right now. So it'd be good to have a foundation of a medium, of a channel, we'll say.
That's where you come in.
That will, yeah, you think so?
That's where you come in.
So if we create a channel
We have to.
and have your content, have Unity Radio's content, Manny J's content, have everyone's content, send it in so that people can sit back and relax and get an idea of what's going on in the city. And like North High, doing remarkable different things.
Oh my goodness.
May repeat as a state championship. Prime example, when back in the day, again, when we had Channel 3 broadcasted high school sports.
You did?
Now it doesn't do that anymore.
Okay.
That's a shame because if that game is packed and a lot of people going to those games, what about the sick and shut-in that want to follow that game or see that game? That's not really an opportunity to see that game. But at the same time, they do have a videographer there that does carry the games, and good thing he does stream the games.
That's wonderful. I tell Manny all the time, that's why what he does is so important, because he's there in the community, broadcasting the events as they happen, because you can't go to all the events.
No, not at all. And you want to.
You do,
But then if you can't, it's nice to go on social media. And so I'm deeply indebted to Manny always, and him and Kid Cash and a number of other people who've contributed to the station. So I look forward to seeing something that if I wasn't able to be there, go to the social media and I can say, oh, good, I can sit back and relax and see what was going on there.
No, absolutely.
Like your grand opening, I didn't have a chance to be here. But then the broadcast, it was great. Everybody was here. Everyone spoke on your behalf, stuff like that. So,
thank
congratulations.
you. No, thank you so much. It was a wonderful event. You never know what's going to happen, right? Because you put it out there. Lots of people didn't RSVP, FYI. So you don't know. And then again, when people RSVP, not everybody comes. But I will say that, thank you.
But you had a good group of people there.
I did. I did. No complaints. Thank you to the chamber. I think everybody from the chamber came.
You had the chamber here. You had
the city manager, the
senator,
mayor,
state rep. You had the city manager. What?
A couple of city councilors, Robin Kennedy, who I adore.
That calls for a sip.
All right. It calls for a sip. Okay, cool. So yeah. I think what. Honestly,
that's a tribute to you. Congratulations. Come on.
No, well, thank you. You know what? I show up to everything as myself.
That's important, right?
And I try to show up and support the community, and I think that people recognize it. I hope they recognize that. I genuinely want others to succeed. I genuinely want the community to succeed. Robin Kennedy said something, and and I don't think she even knew that it touched me. She said, Suzanne shows others that it's okay to celebrate yourself and others. And that it was so big to me. It was. I don't even think she realized she said it, but I was like, I really do I believe in myself, so I'm going to celebrate me and my accomplishments, but I also believe in others. I'm going to celebrate them. So, but sometimes people feel like if they celebrate themselves, people will think it's ego, right? So they hold back and they shrink themselves. I'm not going to shrink myself. So, I celebrate my accomplishments and I celebrate your accomplishments. But, when she said it, it really truly touched me because I was just like, oh, people do recognize that I want to see others succeed. And, I'm out here living my best life.
Well, I don't think that it's all in the presentation too as well. I don't see you as coming out and saying, "Look at me," and presenting yourself as me, as i.e. AKA the traditional media. You see a lot of people doing the
Yeah.
this and that and the TikTok and look at me this and look at me that and
Yeah.
look at me record my drama.
Yeah.
And if I have drama, they rather, instead of talking to the person directly,
Yeah.
they'll put their business on Facebook and it's like, oh, I didn't know such and such was fighting. Or I didn't
Yeah.
know such and such had a baby by somebody else like that. They put it all out there, you know.
Yeah.
But with you, it's all in the presentation, and it's like you do it dignity, professionally, boldly, you know, and beautifully.
fabulously.
And fabulous and beautifully.
Thank you.
Like that.
I don't have no
And one
drama.
of these days, when I grow up, I want to be just like you.
Oh, thank you.
I got 3 words for you: fabulous.
Thank you. No, I don't do drama. I have zero drama. I'm
Of
telling you right
course,
now.
right,
If people have beef with me, they have beef. I
Oh,
don't.
yeah.
Life is
Oh,
too
my
short,
goodness.
Ernie, to
Oh,
be
yeah, I
wasting
totally
on
agree.
foolishness. Like,
Right. And what are you going to accomplish? Okay.
Nothing.
What are you going to honestly?
Like
It's all said
absolutely
and done.
nothing. Life is so short. I see so many people mourning or grieving or saying goodbye. I've said so many my condolences and all of that.
Oh, yeah,
like
but-
I want
And that
people.
reminds you big time when something happens, right?
Yeah.
You know, recent passing or loss that you may experience, and it's just constant. It's just like,
Yeah.
I heard one recently. I'm not going to mention the name out of respect. I was like, really?
Yes.
I was
I
like-
think I might know who you're
I'm like,
thinking
what?
about. I was like, oh.
I didn't even hear about it. I just heard it through another person say, oh, by the way. I said, how'd you find out? They said, oh, someone else was talking about it. I wish I
Yeah.
would have known. I'm like,
Yeah.
really?
Life is short.
And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Life is
I was
short.
Like, this reminds me every day I get up, like I said, I
Yeah.
read Psalm 27. I remind myself it's not about me, and I go about my business.
Yeah.
Whether
Okay,
you like me or
good.
not, it's okay. Whether you did me dirty or not, that's okay. I'll
You
still
know what?
support you. I'll still love you.
Water under the bridge, it's all right, you know, it's all right. But listen, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
for saying yes and for everything that you do to the community. You've been consistent since I've known you. You know, you're one of the longest relationships in my life,
thank you.
actually.
I appreciate that.
That you know, but you've always been consistent. You've always been complimentive. You've always been, you know, encouraging and just interested in genuine conversation and interested in hearing what I have to say. So I appreciate that. And you know what you've been doing with Unity. What you've started so long ago, and you're continuing to add to that and elevate and giving others an opportunity to realize their dreams. So thank
really
you for
appreciate
all
that.
that you do for the community.
Thank you. You have a home there too as well. You can take this to play. And anyone out there too, you have a home, Unity Radio, contact WUTY.org. Be more than happy to add.
Okay.
It's not about me. Remember?
It's not, you know what? And that's the thing. It's just like, there's a saying that says, a leader is someone who doesn't show others how great they are. It's how you show other people how great they are. And that's what makes a leader.
Thank
so
you.
thank you for being a leader in the community. And I look
appreciate
forward
that.
to more fabulous things coming from.
In that case, I get that cheek, and the other cheek, oh, turn the other way. All right, and the other way. Thank you.
No, I appreciate you. You know, please, guys, WUTY.org. Please tune in. There's a lot of things coming. Check it out. There's something for you. I promise you. There's a couple of things that I'm pretty sure they're going to announce. You know, coming up. And, you know, the thing about the shows on Unity, like I said, I love that there's a mixture of different people that's in the community, like they're representative of the community, and the people that are on the shows. So, like, I've been on the show, you know, even before people got familiar with Positively Suzanne and all of that. So check it out and, you know, contact them. He does answer the phone. Maybe not immediately, but he does.
I will answer the phone.
He will answer.
Please leave a message.
So thank you so much for tuning in for this episode with my phenomenal guest, Mr. Ernie Floyd. Please, again, follow him along. I'll put the information in when I do the finishing touches on, you know, on the final post. Thank you to my viewers, my sponsors, my subscribers, to everyone. And I'm going to have Ernie end with just encouraging the audience to chase their dreams. How do
Yeah.
you encourage them?
Well, usually there's a saying that we say on our youth talk show, Youth Unity. Stay positive. No, it's be strong, stay positive, and do the right thing. Peace.